Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is a revision for the EOT questions for term 1 for grade 5. This is the unit 2 questions. We are going straight ahead with the first question. It states that a freezer shaped like a rectangular prism is 6 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 3 feet tall. What is the volume of this freezer? So in questions like these, we first start with writing the volume formula. We have two volume formula. One is V equal P times H, which is base times height, and the other is V equal L times W times H. We have to choose one of the two formulas. How do we do this? We just look at the given scenario. If we have three dimension, which are the length, height, and width, we use this one. And if we have only two, we use the first one. Since we have all three in this question, we use the second one, which is V equal L times W times H. Okay. So the next step is just substitution because we already have all our parameters or dimension. So the L is 6 times 2 times 3, which is 36. And we don't forget our unit or our cubic unit, feet cube. So this is the first question and it's pretty straightforward. Just write the formula and substitute immediately. The second question is extremely similar. An Olympic swimming pool is 2 meters deep. This is refers to the height. What is the volume of the swimming pool? We have this is the L or length and this is the W width. So we use the second formula V equal L times W times H, okay, which will give us 50 times 25 times 2, which is what? 2500 meters cube. Of course, it's a cubic unit because we are talking about the volume here. Now, this question, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Justify your reasoning. When the edge length of a rectangular prism are doubled, what the volume is also doubled. So this says that imagine if we doubled all the dimensions or length of a rectangular prism, what happened to the volume? So let's just assume that let's say the L is 2 or the L is 1 and the W is 1 and the height is 1. So let's calculate the volume. The volume here will be 1 times 1 times 1. This will give us what? A 1, of course. Now let's double all the parameters or the dimension. L will be 2, W will be 2, and H will be 2. So our new V will be what? 2 times 2 times 2. This will be 8. Therefore, is 8 double or how many times of 1? 8 is 8 times 1. So our this statement here that the volume is doubled is wrong. The volume is what? The volume is 8 times as much. The volume is 8 times. Because when you double all the variable and you multiply all the variables, you will get 8 times the original amount. Okay. Now let's continue with the next question. Here we have a composite figure. We want the volume of that figure. So what do? The first step, we decompose the shape into the shape that we know. So I'm going to do a line here. So we have here V1, which is the shape 1, the volume for the shape 1, and V2, which is the volume for shape 2. And the next step here, is to find each volume. So V1 equals what? L times W times H, which will be what? This is, where is the H? This is the W. This is the W3. So our W will be 3. The L is right here. How much is the L? It's 2, yeah? This 2 is the same as this 2 is the same as this 2. So it will be 2. And the H, this whole thing is from here to here is 4. We want from here to here only. How much will it be? It's the same as this one, which will be 2. So it's 2 times 2 times 3, which is what? 12 centimeter cube. Okay, the next one, which is V2 equal what? uh, L times W times H, which here we have the L is 5, the W is 2, and the H here, or the height, is 2. So we'll have 5 times 4. This is 4 basically. 5 times 4 is what? Is 20 centimeter cube. We add our get V total here equals what? 20 plus 12, which is 32 centimeter cube. Okay, so let's revise it. First of all, we decompose the shape into two shapes that we know how to find the volume for, which in this case it's two rectangular prisms. Okay, and we find the volume for each rectangular prism on its own, then we add the total, or we get the total volume. The same thing goes here. We just put a line here to distinguish our two rectangular prism. This is V1, this is V2. So V1 equals, this is VW. Okay, let's just put L times W times H here, which is the formula. And now, the L, how much is the L here? We know that the W is 6. We want to find the L, which is, sorry, this is, the L is 6. L is 6. The W is this bit right here. How much is this bit? We know that this bit is right here is 4. This is also will be 4, and finally this also will be 4. So this will be 4. And the height, this whole thing is 10. We want only this bit from here to here. How do we know? How do we know it? We want this part only. So this part is from here to here is 5. From here to here is 5. And also from here to here is also the same, which is 5. So times 5. Okay. Okay, so we said it's 6 times 4 times 5, which will be what? 6 times 4 is 24, and 24 times 5 is 120 meters cube. Now V2 is pretty simple here. V2 is L times W times H. This will be what? 8, which is the L, 4, which is the W, and 5 here, which is the H. This will give us what? 8 times 4 is 40, times 5 is 160 meters cube. Now our V total will be 120 plus 160, which is equal 280 meters cube. So this is the question 5, which is again how to solve the composite figure. Okay, now let's go ahead for another question here. We want to draw lines to show how to decompose the figure. I don't seem to have the figure here, so give me 1 second. Okay, these are the figures. Okay, these are the figures. The question says Draw lines to show how you decompose the figure and what is the volume of these figures. Okay, talks about these two figures. Okay, now this figure is quite easy really. You can just divide it into three shapes, which is, you can say that this line divides these two. So this will be A, this will be B, and this will be C. Okay, and you just we'll find them individually. We can, A and B is very simple, so let's say V of A equal, I'm just gonna skip writing the formula and just go ahead. It will be 2 times 2 times 3, 2 times 2 times 3, which will be what? Just give me a second here. 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is what? It's 12 feet. Okay, feet cube, of course. And VB is what? The same, 2 times 2 times 5, which is 4 times 5, which is 20 feet cube. And lastly, this one, we know that the length is 5 here, L equal 5. We want to know the W. The W is the same as this W here, which is here is 2. And the height, how much is the height? This height we want to find from here to here. We know that from here to here is 3, and this whole thing is 5. So this is, from here to here is 3. This whole thing is 5. So we want this small bit. How much is small bit? It's of course 5 minus 3, which is 2. 2 feet. So VC will be 2 times 2 times 5, which is again what? 20 feet. Okay, here we made a mistake here. This one is not 20 here. Here this one is not 5. We want this length only, which is 3 here. So oops, we made a mistake. So this will be what? 2 times 2 times 3, which is again the same, 12 feet cube. Okay, now what we do here, this is 3, yes, of course. Now we're just gonna add these two or these three. V total equal 12 times, sorry, plus 12 plus 20, which is what? 12 plus 12 is 24. 20 plus 24 is 44 feet cube. Okay, now this question here, you can divide it in many different ways. What I'm going to do for you guys here, I'm going to divide it like this. I am going to make it like this. Okay, so here we have 3 rectangular prism here, A, B, and C. And of course the dimensions are written here, so I'm just going to give it for you guys to just solve it on your own. Solve on your own as practice. Okay, so it's pretty similar or exactly the same way we solve as this question. What I'm going to do is I'm going just to give you the final answer, which is the V total is 425 inches cube. Okay, so I want you all to solve this question on your own, just as a practice. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Here we have an ocean engineer is designing an underwater robot. The robot will have two pieces like the one shown. So we have two pieces, this one, this down piece or the base, and this rectangular prism on top. What is the volume? It's the same. We just here divide or decompose the figure. So we have this shape A, this is shape B. So we find here V of A equal L times W times V, no, times H, sorry. Okay, this will be what? L is 10, W is 6, and the H is 2. 10 times 6 is 60, times 2 is 120. And of course, we don't forget our cubic unit. Now, V of B equal what? It will be 2 times 5 times 4, or 2 times, this is V of B. So our length is what? Our width is 2. Our length is what here? No, this is the 4. Our height here is H. Our width is 2. We want to find this number here, which is pretty much 6, because here is 6, this one is 6, also this one is also 6. So it will be what? 6, or let's just put the formula, L times W times H, which will be 6 times 5 times 2, which will be what? Which will be 5, this is 30, and times 2 is 60, so 60 centimeter cube. Our V total, which will be V of A plus V of B, which is 120, plus 60, which is 180 cubic, or sorry, centimeter cube. Okay, now here a sign company made this letter using a rectangular prism. Each prism is 12 inches by 4 inches by 4 inches. What is the volume of this letter? So we have here a rectangular prism, or in this case we have 3 rectangular prism, A, B, and C. And here we have our dimensions. This is L, for the length 12, and the width is 4, and the height is 4. We want the volume. So since all 3, it says each prism is, so we have 3 identical prisms. The easiest way is to find just the volume of one of them and multiply by 3. So V of A equal L times W times H, which will be what? Which will be 12 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 24, times 12 will be 192. Okay, it will be 192. We don't forget the inch cube. Now V total will be what? 3 times V of A, or anyone. You just multiply by 3, because they all have the same volume. Just multiply by 3. So which is 3 times 192, which will give us an answer of 3 times 100 is 300. 3 times 92 is 576 inches cube. So this is, I would say, easier than the rest, because we only had to find the volume of one prism and just multiply by 3. Okay, now we are done with the decomposing and finding the volume. I think this is unit 3. I think so, because we don't have volume here. It says compare the weights of these bags. We have this bag which weighs 3.2 kilometer, kilogram, 3.2 kilogram. And we have this green bag which weighs 3.9 kilogram. the way we can compare any two decimal here is we compare the first number with the first number here. So here is 3, here is 3, so they are all both equal. In such cases, when we have equal numbers here, when we have equal numbers, we go for the next one. So this number here 2, and here is 9. Since 2 is less than 9, or 9 is bigger than 2, our answer is like this. So this one is bigger. 3.9 is bigger than 3.281. Do you understand how comparing works? Comparing, we just look at the first number from the first digit from the first number, compare it to the first digit from the second number. If they are both the same, we move around to the next one. And if they are the same, we move around with the next numbers until we find a number that is bigger than the other, which makes the whole number bigger than the other number. Okay? Now, uh, here let's try and find okay, okay, now here we have pencils and pens here that are worth $1.15, and pencils are worth $1.47, and highlighters which worth $1.9. So $1.90 fills, and the pencil is $1.47 fills, and the pen is $1.15. Okay. Now the question says, do pens or highlighter cost more? So here we have a pen is 115. Sorry, it says pencils. I'm sorry. Pencils is $1.47. Okay, and we have a highlighter is $1.90 fills. So the first one is 1, here is 1, they are both the same, so we go to look for the second one. Here is 4 and here is 9. 9 is bigger than 4, which makes the 1.9 bigger than 1.47, which makes the highlighter cost more. Okay, now this one says write a comparison statement for the cost of pens and pencils. So the pens here are 115 cent, and the pencils are 147 fils. So here we have $1.15 and $1.47 fils. I think it's pretty simple that, or pretty obvious that 147 fils is more than 115 cent. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Here it says compare the decimals. We have here a number of comparison statements. Let's see here. Okay, here we have 7.790 and 8. First number here is 7, and the first number here is 8. 8 is bigger than 7, so this is bigger. This is 1, this is 1, this is 0, this is 0, so they're both the same. We go to the next one. This is 2, and this is 9, so obviously 2 is bigger than 9. In a similar fashion, we solve these kind of questions like this. And always the sign goes for, or the side, or the sign goes towards the biggest number. Okay, these two are equal, so we put equal. And the first one is the same, the second one is the same, the third one, 6 is less than 7, so this is the answer. Okay. Now This is which school supply is the most expensive, which school supply is the least expensive. So the least expensive here is, I think it's obvious that the pens is the least expensive and the highlighters is the most expensive, because if we put here 115 and compare it to 147, 115 is less than 147, and if we compare the 147 to the 190, the 190 is, or the 190 fills is more than the 147. So the highest is the pen, or sorry, the lowest is the pens, or the least expensive, and the more expensive is the highlighters. Okay. Okay, this is, go ahead and look. We want to, now this question, we want to find the word form of the decimal. What excuse me, this word document is a little off. So what is the word this form of this one? I will assume it's this decimal. So how to read a decimal here? Let's just say this decimal here. We start with the ones. The ones here, it's 8, so we put it the way it is, 8. So the ones are they are written, or we read the ones normally, okay? 8, and the period, we use the word and for the period. Here we have, if we have one number, it's called tenth. If we have two number, it's hundredth. If we have three number, it's thousandth, and more, and so forth. Okay. So here we have two tenth. Okay. Here we have 8. Of course, the period is pronounced and. We have here 02. How do we read 02? Since they are two numbers, it's hundredth. The first one, or zero, it's, we don't say anything, we just skip it. So it's two TWO hundredth. So this one is 8 and 200th. This is 8 and 2 tenth. Tenths, okay? Tenth. Here we don't have any number here, so we just skip it. We just, and we also, if we have a zero, we don't read the decimal. So we just put after the, we focus on what's under the, after the decimal, which is 82. So there are two numbers, so it's 80, 82, and this is what, it's two numbers, so it's 100. Okay, here is the same, but it's three numbers, so it's 80 to thousandth. Okay, now the question says, this is, what is the standard form? Standard form is the normal form, or the normal way of the decimal. So here we have the decimal here is written in expanded form. So we just join these three decimals. So we have here 0, 0, 0. So our ones is 0, okay? So we don't have ones, 0. And the tenth is what? 9, 0, 0. So it's 9. We just add, okay guys, we just add. So our hundreds here, we don't have a hundred, which, so it's 0, 0 plus 3 plus 0, so it's 3. And thousands, since we don't have any thousands, so it's also 0. And here we don't have a thousand, so we put here a 0. and here we have 1,000. This is 7. So 0 plus 0 plus 7 is 7. So this is the normal form or the standard form. We do the same thing here. How much is the ones here? The ones here is 20. Here is 20. Here is 0, 0, 0. So it's 20 plus 0, 0, 0. It's 20. We put the period point. We don't forget it. The 10th or the 10th here. The 10th here is what? Here is 7. Here is 0. Here is 0. So it's 7. Now the hundreds here is 0. Here is 8. Here is 0. So it's 8. Lastly, the thousands is only here 6. So 20. How to read this? This is 20 and 786,000. Okay, because there are 3 numbers here, and we have 20 here. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Here we have, what is the another question? What is the decimal in the standard form? And here, what is the decimal in the expanded form? So we write here the decimal that is written here as words. We transfer it in a decimal in a standard form and one in expanded form. So here we have 93, and so it's 93 period. Why? Because the and here is the period point. Okay, 600. 6,000. So 6,000 is here. It's 6. But since we wrote thousands, so there should be 3 numbers after the decimal point. But here we have only 6, which is one number. So what we put? We put 2 zeros before the 6. So now it's 6 parts of thousand, or 6,000. Now the expanded form here, you know it. It's pretty simple. This is the expanded form. So we just put the ones and tens aside using place value, and tenth and hundreds and hundredth and thousand. So here this will be what we have. Our hundreds is 90, because here is 9, plus ones is 3, so it's 3. Okay, because the ones is here is 3, plus do we have 100? Do we have tens? We don't have tenth. We don't have tenth because it's 0. Do we have hundreds? We don't have a hundredth because there's 0. But we do have a thousandth. So what do? We just put the thousand, 0.006. So this is 6,000. Okay. So this is the expanded form. We use place value to sort it out. Now here we have 3 and 846,000. So our ones is 3, and when we see an and, we always put a period point. Okay, or a decimal point. I'm sorry, it's a period point, a decimal point, it's the same. Okay, 846. What we don't focus on this, we focus on this word here. So it's thousand, so we should have 3 numbers after the decimal point. We have 846 is 3 numbers, so we just write it 846 normally. Okay. Now let's put the expanded form. This is, or sorry, the expanded form. Yes, the expanded form is easy. 3 plus, here we have, do we have a tenth? It's, yes, we have. You have 8, so it's 0.8. Always the tens is one number after the decimal point, or the decimal, yeah, the decimal point. And we have 100. We have 100, so it's 4, so it will be 0.04, or 4 over, we can just say it, or 4 over 100. They are both correct. And lastly we have 6,000, so we just put 0.006, or we can just put 6 over 1,000. Whatever you can write in any form, it's correct either way. Okay, now I'm going to just leave this question for you. I think this question says it just want to put it in a standard form. This will be it's too easy to just leave. You can just write 5.019. So it's, you have 1, 2, and 3 numbers after decimal points, so it's 19,000. Okay, 5 and 19,000. Here we have the same two questions. Is there, we were just going to write here the expanded form, or sorry, the standard form here and the expanded form here. We do the same for this. I'm just gonna write solve on your own, and that's similar here. Now the the question 13 says the Andromeda galaxy is 2.534 million light years from Earth. How can you write this decimal number in expanded form and word form? So this is basically the same as the question previous. So to in expanded form, I'm just gonna put ex short for expanded. Okay. So expanded form, this will be extremely tall, but let's just say 2 plus our 5. This will be 0.5 plus 0.03 plus 0.004. How do we do it? We just put the 2 the way it is. Okay, and the 5 here we put 0.5 because it's one number after the decimal point. Here we have 3 here, but there is a 5 before, we just put 0, so it will be 0.03. And for the 4, we have 2 numbers before the 4, so we put 2 zeros or all zeros, so it will be 0.004. Okay, and the word form is actually extremely tall, so it will be word form. Stay with me, it will be 2 million so this is 2.534 million light years, so it will be 2 and 500 534. Okay, now 34, and we know that we have 3 numbers, so it will be thousandths. Okay, now Cole wrote the decimal 34.821 in word form as 34,821 thousandths. Is he correct? Yes or no? So this is 34,821 thousandths. So he got the thousands correct. He got the 34 correct, and he got the 821 correct, but he missed a small tiny detail, which is the decimal point, so he should have wrote, so this is incorrect, so he forgot what he forgot he for okay, I just made a spelling mistake. Okay, no, he forgot to add and. So basically he just forget to put the word and instead of the decimal period. So what he wrote is correct, but he just forgot to put the and. Okay. Now write the word forms of this number and this number. And what is the same? Explain why those similarities exist. Okay, so this is I'm just gonna say it instead of write it because this is way too long. So this is 321,578, and here this is 321 and 578,000. So here, this is a whole number, this is a decimal number. So they both have 321 because both have the digits 321 in either the thousands period or the ones period. So they are both basically the same, but this is a whole number. Okay, this is a decimal. Okay, so this is 321,578. This is 578, and this is 321 and 578,000. So this number is bigger, is way bigger than this number. Okay. Okay. Now here we are going to decompose by place value to find the difference. So we have 8 and 57 hundredth minus 2 and 4 tenths. So this will be what? 8.75 minus 2. This will be what? This will be 6.57. Okay. Now the 0.57 minus 0.54, so this will be 0.57 minus 0.54. No, I'm sorry, this will be what? This will be 6.17, sorry, 6.17 minus 0.4, which will be what? 6.57 minus 0.4, which will be 6.17. And lastly, 8.75 minus 2.4, this will be 6.17. You don't need to write it in such prolonged steps. You can just solve it the way you want. But in these questions, we want to use place value. So we just minus the ones, then we minus the hundreds, then the thousand, then so you get the idea. So this will be what? 2.73, then 2.73 minus 0.1 will be this will be 2.63, which will be our answer here. Okay. Now here, what is the difference? This is fairly easy, I suppose. We just write it like this: 36.33 minus 32.29. Okay. Here, 33 minus 29, this will be 4. So we put here 4, 0. Okay. And the decimal point will go down. 36 minus 32, this is 4. So the answer is 4.04. So we just line the hundreds with the tens with the tens, the ones with the ones. We line the decimal points, the tenth with the tenth, and the hundredth with the hundredth, and we just subtract normally. So here this is 48.56 minus 18.21. This will be what? 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. We put the decimal point down. Now 8 minus 8 is 0. 4 minus 1 is 3. So the answer is 30.35. Okay, I'm going to just leave the last two to solve on your own. Okay, because it's the same question basically. Okay, now the question here says we decompose by the place value, then decompose by place value to subtract. We want to show our work here. So it's quite similar to the previous question or the question before it. So it's 5.7. It's minus 2.08. So we start with the ones. So 5.7 minus 2, which will give us 3.7. Now 3.7 minus 0.08, because this is 8 out of 100 or 800th. This will be what? 3.62. Okay, because this is 70. So 70 minus 8 is 62. Okay, now let's go down. We want to this question, this is a spicy question. We want to fill in the area model and use the partial products to find 53 times 37. Okay, so we are going to use place value here to create our area model. So we decompose the 53 into 50 plus 3 and the 73 into 30 plus 7. So here this will be 50 plus 3 and here will be 70 plus 30 plus 7. Now we multiply these two numbers and these two numbers. Okay, we multiply these two. 50 times 30 is 1500 and 30 times 3 is what? 90. Okay, we now also multiply this number by this number and lastly this number by this number. So 7 times 50, it's 350, and 7 times 3 is what? 21. Now these are called partial products. These all are partial products. Now how to find 53 times 37? We're just going to add these all partial products. We're just going to add these kind of things. So 1500 plus 90 plus 350 plus 21. So I just put them in a way where the ones under the ones, the tens under the tens, the hundred under the hundreds, and the thousand under the thousand. If you organize them well, this should be pretty simple. Okay, but let me just make it better. 21 is not okay. 21. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 9 plus 5 is 14 plus 2 is 16. We put 6 and 1 above. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 0 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. And the 1 plus 0 is 1. So the answer is 1961. So this is the product of 53 times 37. Okay. Now we are going to find or complete the area model to find the product. Now the area model is already been made. 3 times 100 is 3000. 6 times 100 is 600. Now just multiply these two numbers as I have explained previously. 3 times 50 is 1500 or 1500. 30 times 4 is what? 120. Okay. 6 times 100 is 600. 6 times 50 is what? Put the zero out, so it will be what? 300. Okay, and now 6 times 4 is 24. We're just going to add these all. We will get 5544. Now here we just multiply 50 times 20, which will give us 1000. Okay, 2 times 400, which will give us 800. 2 times 20, which will give us 40. And 2 times 1, which will give us 2, sorry. Okay, now we're just going to add 20,000 plus 1000, which will be 21,000, plus 800, which will be 21,800, plus 50, plus 40, plus 2, which will give us 21,892. Okay. Okay, now we are going to use the area model to multiply the digits factors. Okay. So this is an empty one. We just do the same thing. 20 times 200 is 4000. 20 times 10 is 200. And 20 times 8 is what? Is 160. Okay. 8 times 200 is 1600. 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 8 is 64. So the answer is what? It says that we have to write, I'm sorry, it says we have to write the multiplication equation. I don't know where the question here is gone. It's this one, yeah. We write the multiplication equation based on the area model and we solve it. So our multiplication equation, this is already been decomposed to by the place value. So 200 plus 10 plus 8, it will be what? 218 times 20 plus 8 is 28. This will equal what? We add these partial products, which will be 6104. Okay, so here this is let's just find the partial product. 60 times 400 will be 24,000. Okay, 60 times 10 is 600. 60 times 6 is 360. 3 times 400 is 1200. 3 times 10 is 30. And 3 times 6 is 18. Now we're just going to write our multiplication equation, which is 400 plus 10 plus 6. How much is 400 plus 10 plus 6? This is what? 416. Okay, times 60 plus 3 is 63, which will be what? This will be 20, or sorry, 262,000 and sorry, 26,208. Okay, 26,208, because we're just going to add these partial products. 26,208 208. Okay. Now, okay. Now here we are going to use the area model to find the product. So here we have 15, we have 24. 15 times 24. So the 15 times 24, this will be what? This will be 24. We use place value, so it will be 20 plus 4, and the 15 will be 10 plus 5. Of course, by this is all by place value. 20 times 10 is 200. 10 times 4 is 40. 5 times 20 is 100. And 5 times 4 is 20. We are just going to add. So 15 times 24 equal 200 plus 40 plus 100 plus 20. So 200 plus 100 is 340 plus 20 is 60. So it's 360. And I'm just going to make you just solve this one on your own. Okay, now if we now this is says also by using the place value, so I'm just going to solve the first one only. So this one will be what? 33 by place value will be 30 plus 3. We put the tens on one side and the ones on the other side. 30 plus 3. 78 will be 70 plus 8, and we just put our rectangle. 70 times 30 is what? Is 2100 or 2100. 70 times 3 is 210. 8 times 30 is 240, and 8 times 3 is 24. So 33 times 78 equals 2100 plus 210 plus 200. Okay, this I need to just write smaller. So our product will be 2100 plus 210 plus 24 plus 240, which will be, okay, this will be 2100 plus 200, it will be 2300, so 2310. So the total will be 2574. Okay, and as you know, this you solve it on your own. Okay. Okay, let's go down here. We are going to find the unknown partial products. Okay, so we have 325 times 73. So what do? We start with the biggest numbers. So by place value, this is 300, this is 20, and this is 5. This is 70, this is 3. Okay, so how did the 21,000 come from? 21,000 is 300 times 70. Okay, now so it's this number times this number. Now The second one is what? It's 20 times 70. So we multiply. What do we do? What do we do here? Okay, I erased the wrong one. So this is 300 times 70. We multiply this number by this number, and this number by this number, this number by this number. And when we finish, we multiply this number by this number, and this number by this number, and this number by this number. So we should have 6 partial products. Okay, the first one is 300 times 70. The second one is 20 times 70. The third one is 5 times 70. And the fourth one is 300 times 3, then 20 times 3, then 5 times 3. So 300 times 70 is 21,000. 20 times 70 is 1,500. Sorry, 400. And lastly, 5 times 70 is 350. And now what do? We find 300 times 3. 300 times 3 is 900, so we put here 900. Okay, now 20 times 3, this is 60, so we put here 60. Okay, lastly 5 times 3, 5 times 3 will be what? 15. Okay, now we add all these numbers, we will have 23,725.